At exactly 4:47 p.m. on July 14, 2025, U.S. District Judge Fernando Enle Rocha slipped a 3-page order onto the federal docket that sent shockwaves through rap royalty. The ruling declared that Rimir Satterthwaite versus Sean Jay-Z Carter states a plausible claim and may surge forward into discovery, effectively placing hip-hop's first billionaire one cheek swab away from a potentially era-defining truth test. For 12 long years, the rumor of a secret son had simmered at the edges of tabloid culture. Now, for the first time, a courtroom wasn't swatting it away. That single-stamped order cracked a vaulted legacy, thrusting Beyonce's famously guarded household under blinding lights and triggering a countdown that ends the moment a sterile cotton tip brushes Sean Carter's inner cheek. If the DNA says yes, inheritance laws ignite, statutes on 1990s statutory misconduct re-enter the conversation, and the most carefully managed marriage in modern entertainment may falter. If it says no, the Carters could launch a scorched earth countersuit that chills anyone tempted to sling unverified bloodline claims at a superstar again. Either way, one swab threatens to rewrite rap history, and we have days, not years, to watch it unfold.
I never asked for money. I don't do interviews just saying, hey, Jay-Z, give me your money, or I'm coming at the Jay-Z for his money. I never did that. I'm not that type of person. I'm not trying to make nobody seem like a bad person or nothing. I'm just really coming out here for the truth. I don't want no money or anything. I wasn't looking for none of that. I just want to know the truth. And if I can't go to the courts and get the truth, like, what is it really, why are you, what is it? I just really want it over. It's something that's really affecting my life, and I just want it over with.
But to grasp why this looming test feels like dynamite under a dynasty, we need to rewind to grayer streets, sealed files, and a teenage girl whose whispered story still refuses to die. Rimir's late mother, Wanda Lattimore, once told friends that during a frosty New Jersey winter in 1992 to 93, she crossed paths with a then 22-year-old Sean Carter, 1 year before Reasonable Doubt demos began leaking through Brooklyn hallways. Wanda was 15 going on 16, a minor by any legal yardstick. Rumors suggest their brief fling left her pregnant, yet shame, fear, and family pressure persuaded her to record her high school boyfriend Robert Graves as the father on the birth certificate. Nothing was proven, everything was implied, but the age gap alone cast a darker tint over the story. When baby Rimir arrived in 1993, Carter had already vanished into New York's rap underbelly. Wanda's world shrank to diapers, double shifts, and the gnawing certainty that her son's real father might soon be too wealthy to reach. She shared nothing publicly until the internet democratized gossip and Carter's face started flashing beside Forbes lists. That's when hushed anecdotes about a statutory gray encounter morphed into headlines that used words like grape, though responsible outlets still frame it as unverified statutory misconduct. For viewers, the critical takeaway is not whether the story is fact or fiction, it's that the timeline places Jay-Z just outside his teen years and Wanda firmly inside hers. If a lab swab confirms Rimir's claim, the conversation will shift from money to morality, from paternity to the uncomfortable question of consent laws in early 90s New Jersey. Wanda's secret might have stayed buried had the legal system cooperated. But what followed was a decade-long game of jurisdictional dodgeball that only sharpened public suspicion.
That's his son.
You think that's his son?
Yeah. First of all, Jay-Z offered them money. At first, he offered them bread, like, and everything.
2010, Philadelphia. Wanda, battling heart issues yet still determined, filed her first paternity petition in Pennsylvania. The judge ordered genetic tests for Carter, Wanda's boyfriend, and Rimir. Graves complied and was ruled out. Jay-Z's camp, on the other hand, never produced results. The case stalled and quietly dissolved as legal fees mounted. 2012, New Jersey, Rimir's godmother, Lily Coley, refiled, arguing Carter owned property in the Garden State. Jay-Z's attorneys shot back that he held no business ties, no residence, no roots there. When tax documents hinted otherwise, counsel pivoted, saying they had initially misspoken. The presiding judge accepted the correction, dismissed for lack of jurisdiction, and sealed the records. Critics cried foul, claiming celebrity influence warped ordinary procedure. 2014 to 2024. Appeals ricocheted between county clerks and appellate panels. A 2023 motion even reached the New Jersey Supreme Court, requesting every file since 2012 be unsealed so a new judge could compel a modern DNA test. Each time, procedural technicalities trumped truth-seeking, and the cotton swab remained unused. Stacked together, the dismissals paint a portrait, truthful or not, of a billionaire leveraging labyrinthine law to dodge a simple yes or no answer. In interviews, Rimir now calls that era legal whack-a-mole, and claims his car once absorbed 6 bullets after a hearing, implying intimidation. No police report pinned blame, but the allegation lingers in fan forums. Whether threat or coincidence, it intensifies the storyline. David versus a Goliath fortified by NDAs and high-powered counsel. As the courtroom chess slogged on, social media discovered the saga and poured gasoline on a flame that traditional press had barely kept alive. On July 8, 2025, 50 Cent fired the first meme. A screenshot of the judge's order floated above his caption, "A good lawyer knows the law. A great lawyer knows the judge." Within minutes, hashtag JZDNA test topped X's worldwide trends, dragging legacy hip-hop blogs and mainstream outlets into real-time coverage. Hours later, Nicki Minaj quote tweeted the meme with her own grievance. "I'm using some of the $200 million Hav owes me to send Barbs to college. Interest running, darling." Her jab revived an old Rock Nation royalty dispute and proved that beef is still the most viral seasoning in the music recipe. Why does this matter? Because platforms amplify conflict. A single celebrity call-out can catapult a niche legal battle into a billion-view spectacle, raising stakes for brands that banked on Jay-Z's reputation as hip-hop's elder statesman. Marketers who once courted the Carter aura now track sentiment curves, wondering if an unflattering lab result might torch campaigns slated for the holiday quarter. And Beyonce, insiders whispered that her normally tranquil PR army went DEFCON 1 once those tweets hit 7-figure impressions. Suddenly every boardroom that sells Pepsi, Ivy Park, or Super Bowl halftime slots wanted to know whether the empire's pillars could withstand another scandal wave. That speculation smashed against the one person whose silence has historically steadied the Carter brand, until murmurs surfaced that her silence might soon break in 300 hardcover pages. According to publishing insiders quoted by The Blast on June 14, 2025, Beyonce has secretly drafted a memoir for over a decade, documenting everything from Solange's elevator kick to Jay-Z's admitted infidelity, and now, rumor says, the Love Child chapter grows hourly revisions. Early outlines allegedly plot 4 thematic arcs: family loyalty, personal evolution, creative legacy, and unfiltered truth the world isn't ready for. Some sources claim the release window, once penciled for the 4th quarter of 2025, could slide depending on the DNA outcome. If the swab confirms paternity, Chapter 9 rewrites itself from unverified whispers to documented betrayal, and the launch transforms from artistic milestone into literary hand grenade. That possibility dials up pressure inside both Parkwood Entertainment and Rock Nation. Beyonce's brand rests on meticulous image craft. A blindsiding paternal scandal dents the polished narrative of marital resilience first showcased in Lemonade. Fans already parse every lyric for hints. A memoir might hand them direct receipts. And receipts matter, because off the stage, Jay-Z's corporate reach extends far beyond music, right into the heart of America's biggest televised spectacle. When Carter inked his headline-grabbing partnership with the NFL in 2019, he reframed himself as mediator between protest culture and billion-dollar broadcast. Since then, Super Bowl halftimes, Inspire Change merchandise, and social justice grants have tethered the Rock Nation name to corporate goodwill. If headlines shift from mogul feeds communities to mogul impregnated a high school sophomore, advertisers could bail faster than a halftime wardrobe change. PR strategists privately admit that while the statute of limitations shields Carter from fresh criminal exposure, optics alone can crater sponsorship renewals. And it's not just sports. Carter's luxury cannabis line, his venture capital fund Marcy Venture Partners, and his still lucrative stake in Armand de Brignac Champagne all trade on aspirational storytelling. Investors hate uncertainty. A negative trust signal can cost millions in brand equity before the first court date even lands on a docket calendar. Which brings us to the man at the eye of the storm, Rimir himself, and the striking contrast between how each side frames this decade-long standoff. Jay-Z's July 2025 filing calls the lawsuit fabricated and part of a decades-long harassment campaign. It argues that multiple courts have dismissed the same allegations, that Rimir's team mishandled service of process, and that continued litigation wastes judicial resources. Rimir, now 32, offers a starkly different narrative. This isn't about money, It's about identity, he told Daily Mail earlier this year. He claims he's faced housing denials, job roadblocks, and mental health fallout because he can't answer the simplest question, who's my father? In public statements, he rejects any financial motives, no child support retroactive demand, no hush money ultimatum. Instead, he seeks legal fees, compensatory damages for emotional distress, and a line under father on every future medical form. Friends say he carries a manila envelope of childhood photos, convinced his jawline mirrors Carter's. Critics argue that even if money isn't listed on the complaint, a positive DNA test grants Rymir immediate standing for estate claims. Supporters counter that lawmakers designed estate law, not Rymir, to attach financial implications to paternity. Both truths can coexist. A man wants recognition, and recognition carries dollar signs, whether he demands them or not. Money, however, is only half the earthquake. The other half is cultural symbolism, especially inside communities that crown hip-hop legends as avatars of triumph over adversity. Path A, DNA match, legal cascade. Even if criminal statutes are expired, civil windows may open. Rymir could petition for a formal name change, inheritance rights, and retroactive medical coverage. Civil attorneys might explore emotional distress damages linked to alleged intimidation. Brand fallout, black excellence. Narratives risk reframing as black hypocrisy. Social feeds that once praised Jay-Z's reinvention from street hustler to corporate titan could shift tone overnight. Family calculus, Beyonce's memoir decision becomes existential. Silence now reads a complicity. Disclosure becomes self-defense. Path B, DNA, no match. Litigation, recoil. Jay-Z's counsel likely files defamation against every outlet that insinuated guilt and may seek injunctions on future filings. Public perception. A not his dad verdict won't erase 12 years of accusations, but it shifts burden of proof back onto rumor mills. Some fans will still believe the system was gamed. Others will hail vindication. Precedent value. The case sets a cautionary tale for would-be claimants targeting wealthy figures without bulletproof evidence. Either path loops back to the cotton swab sealed in a sterile packet, waiting on chain of custody signatures, and a lab tech's steady hand. Our calendar now stares at the July 18th response deadline. 4 days that could detonate, diffuse, or defer. Hip-hop has weathered scandals, violent feuds, courtroom sagas, financial implosions, yet none fused questions of consent, paternity, billion-dollar branding, and the throne room marriage of Jay-Z and Beyonce quite like this. A single Q-tip and 60 seconds of cheek cell collection threatened to upend decades of myth-making, corporate alliances, and fan base allegiances. Will Sean Carter lean into the narrative of transparency he once championed on 444 and submit willingly? Or will more motions, sealed briefs, and strategic delays stretch the truth another year? For now, the clock ticks, the internet speculates, and every corner of music culture waits to see whether a drop of saliva can drown an empire or finally clear the air. Subscribe to stay tuned because the documents we're chasing next include sealed depositions and financial ledgers that might illuminate who paid whom to keep which secrets buried. And if this lab result lands the way insiders fear, the fallout won't just rock Rock Nation, it could redraw the balance of power across the entire music industry. Keep your notifications on. The cotton swab is loaded.